You are listening to Attractive Relationships, the podcast where we dive deep into the art and science of relationships and communication. I'm Rico Armstrong, your host and advocate for attractive, happy relationships. In a world where relationships play a crucial role in our personal and professional lives, understanding how to communicate to connect with others is essential. Transform your communication skills to increase your social status, your social confidence, and help you gain the best relationships you can have. Welcome to Attractive Relationships. All right, welcome back to another episode of Attractive Relationships. I'm Rico, Coach Rico for you, and today we are going to talk about a topic of having those difficult conversations when emotions are running high. And the reason why we're going to talk about this is because whenever we have disagreements that lead to arguments that we don't like to have, a lot of times it feels like the reason these arguments are existing is because emotions ran high. And the higher the emotions run, the negative kind, like anger and frustration, the less likely it is for us to be able to come to an understanding, let alone a resolution. And I would liken it, maybe you can follow me on this. It's kind of like driving in traffic. I live in a major city. I live in Dallas. And in Dallas, so many people from around the country are starting to move in. And if you can imagine, with people moving in from all over the country and even from all over the world, and they all have their style of driving that they believe is the best. And now we're all driving together to these different unwritten rules of the road. And so imagine you're here in Dallas or whatever big city, you're in this parking lot and you're about to pull out into this major street, this busy street. And as you do, you think you did a great job and everything's normal, but the guy behind you feels like you just cut them off. What might that person do or want to do? They may cuss and yell and scream. They may give you the bird. They may just, in some way, shape, or form, by honking the horn or whatever, let you know that they aren't happy with what you did. And if you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, what might be your inclination? Especially if you're already having a stressful day, maybe you're just getting off of work and this is the first thing that happens when you leave work. Your inclination might be to respond in the same emotionally charged way. And that's the way conversations go with people. Sometimes we can say something that we don't think is offensive to the other person, and nor should it be offensive. But that's not what the other person feels or views it as. And all of a sudden, instead of the conversation being pleasant or about coming to a resolution, the conversation begins to be more about making the other person feel hurt the way that they hurt us, making sure that they recognize that what they did was wrong, which is judging. And if the other person feels they weren't doing anything wrong, was like, well, now I got to make you feel like you're wrong. It's a no-win situation. So I'm going to read something from a book called Lead with Curiosity. Now, as of the time of this recording, the book isn't out. But when it does come out, you'll be able to find a link to it. I'll post a link. And if you're following me on social media, you'll see that link where you can get a copy of this book, because this is going to be something that helps you have the good conversations when they're, especially when they're difficult to have. It says, have you ever known someone to be 100% sure they are right just to be proven wrong? Sometimes when we disagree with someone, we think we know exactly what they mean, and we decide that they're just wrong. But what if we got it wrong? What if we misunderstood what they were trying to say? We may never know we are wrong or are misunderstanding them if we do not lead with curiosity. And this is where getting curious about the other person and asking questions really comes in handy, because especially in an emotionally charged situation where, again, emotions are high, we're not thinking rationally. If we can remember to lead with curiosity, oftentimes it'll calm our emotions and theirs. And I'll explain how to do that, and I'll explain why it works. Here's the how. One of the best ways to do this is by following a technique, a tactic from somebody some of you may have heard. His name is Chris Voss. He wrote a very popular book called Never Split the Difference. In fact, I have this book. If you're watching me, here we go. If you're watching me on video, this is the book, Never Split the Difference. Highly recommend. This is one of my top 10 books of really enhancing your communication skills so where people feel seen and heard and understood. Hey guys, real quick, I'd love to connect with you beyond these episodes, which is why I'm excited to tell you that Attractive Relationships recently started an exclusive newsletter just for you. You'll get behind the scenes stories and additional exclusive content to aid in building your personal attractive relationships. So if you'd like to be kept in the loop, simply click the link in the description below the episode. In this book, he talks about using similes to use those during those tough conversations when emotions are a little bit high. And a simile are phrases that are like, it sounds like, looks like, seems like. Again, similes are comparing using those phrases. But the genius of that is that it doesn't come across offensive because it gives the other person an out in case they stepped over the line. If you're labeling something in a negative way, it gives the other person an opportunity to clarify what they mean without feeling like you're judging them. So if somebody's really upset and again emotions are high and you use one of those similes like it seems like you have a reason for feeling upset, how is the other person going to respond to that? Very likely, hey, it seems like you have a reason for being that upset. They are going to feel like you really heard them or understand them, or at the very least, you're making the attempt. That's a good feeling. And that is a powerful way to get their emotions to calm down. It also can work in your benefit if your emotions are running high. Right. So if somebody made you angry, you could say, it seems like you had a reason for doing what you did. It's not judging them. It's not telling them that they were bad or they were wrong. But by using that phrase, in fact, there was a story of somebody using that phrase on a contractor who was not fulfilling the expectations. Seems like you have a reason. It seems like there's a good reason for you for your struggles in meeting the expectations. And even though the person paying the money was very frustrated, by approaching that way, it led to a more collaborative experience where emotions did not get out of hand. What's the alternative? The alternative is what most people do. They lead with their emotions. How dare you do this to me and take advantage? How dare you not live up to the things that I said I wanted you to? How dare you do something so blatant to make me upset? You may not use the phrase, how dare you, but you get the idea. People lead with their emotions. And what is that going to do? It's going to simply make the emotions run higher. And now when the other person feels upset, maybe that person feels like they didn't try to cut you off in traffic. And all of a sudden you're yelling at them. How are they then going to respond? Or what if they did cut you off in traffic, but it was a mistake? They didn't mean to. And they would have loved to apologize. But because we came so rude and judged them and shamed them so quickly and so harshly, what are they going to be inclined to do? They're going to be inclined to say, that wasn't a fair reaction for an honest mistake. That wasn't a fair reaction for something that I didn't even know I did. And because I don't think that's fair, I'm going to hurt your feelings and judge you the way you did me to make things even. But it's never even. Somebody always feels like they're getting the short end of the stick. But using that simile, seems like you had a reason for doing that. Seems like you have a reason to feel this way. It seems like you had a reason for saying that. It looks like you are very upset by this situation. Again, it's either going to make them feel understood, like, yeah, you got me, or it's going to make them want to open up and clarify what they really meant, which is especially powerful if they were out of line and they knew it. Try that the next time you are upset or you're talking to somebody else that's upset. It seems like ... you fill in the blank, and see how it transforms your conversations from something that is emotionally charged and potentially argumentative to something that transforms into something where you really agree and are appreciative of each other and everybody feels seen and heard. Send me your stories. I love to hear them. And until next time. As we come to the end of another episode of Attractive Relationships, I want to express my gratitude to you for tuning in. Your support really does mean the world to me. Now, if this episode brought you any value, I would truly appreciate it if you shared this podcast with anyone that you think could benefit from our discussions on effective communication and relationship building. Until next time, remember, great relationships start with great communication. So stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep building those attractive relationships.